The MotoGP world has once again been shaken by a major Ducati decision that could reshape the competitive landscape for the 2027 season. The Borgo Panigale manufacturer has officially selected Marc Marquez as one of only 2 riders who will receive the first opportunity to test the new 850 cubic centimeters MotoGP prototype, built for the 2027 regulations at Brno circuit in the Czech Republic. This decision has immediately attracted widespread attention because this is far more than a routine test session. What makes this 2027 MotoGP 850 cubic centimeters prototype test so important for Ducati? Let's discuss. The historic test is scheduled to take place on Monday, June 22nd, one day after the Czech Grand Prix. For the first time, factory riders will get to experience the next generation of MotoGP machinery, featuring 850 cubic centimeters engines and Pirelli tyres, which will replace Michelin as the official tyre supplier starting in 2027. Until now, development of the 850 cubic centimeters machine had been carried out primarily by test riders such as Michele Pirro for Ducati. However, at Brno, the riders who will eventually race these motorcycles in official competition will finally have the opportunity to provide direct feedback. What makes the situation even more intriguing is the special rule established for this test. Only riders who already have contracts with their manufacturers for the 2027 season are eligible to participate. This requirement has dramatically reduced the list of participants, as the current MotoGP rider market is experiencing significant team changes and contract movements. As a result, several high-profile names are unable to take part. Fabio Quartararo cannot test a Honda because he remains under contract with Yamaha through the end of the season. Jorge Martin cannot ride a Yamaha yet because he is still tied to Aprilia. Pedro Acosta is also unable to test a Ducati because he continues to race for KTM. Likewise, Pecco Bagnaia is not permitted to test an Aprilia because his Ducati contract has not yet expired. This situation has left only a small number of eligible riders. Among all the factory riders currently on the MotoGP grid, only about 5 names meet the requirements to participate in the initial testing of the 2027 machine. Ducati's own decision is even more surprising. The Italian manufacturer will bring only 2 motorcycles to Brno and has selected Marc Marquez and Fermin Aldegar as the only riders who will ride them. 2-time world champion Pecco Bagnaia cannot participate because he will be leaving Ducati. Fabio Di Giannantonio is also ineligible because he is set to move to KTM. Meanwhile, Alex Marquez is reportedly dealing with an injury and is not considered part of Ducati's long-term plans for 2027. Another sign of Ducati's commitment to this project is its decision to skip the private Misano test attended by Honda, Yamaha, and KTM. Rather than splitting its focus, Ducati has chosen to dedicate all of its resources to Brno. This decision highlights just how valuable Marc Marquez's feedback is to Ducati's future development program. This is precisely why the test is considered so crucial. The first major advantage for Marquez is his direct influence on the development of Ducati's 850 cubic centimeters machine. As the reigning world champion and one of the greatest riders in MotoGP history, every piece of feedback Marquez provides will become a key reference point for Ducati's engineers. His input regarding the motorcycle's characteristics, cornering stability, acceleration, braking performance, and electronic response will help shape the direction of development long before most other riders even have the opportunity to test the bike. In other words, Marquez will not simply be riding Ducati's future motorcycle. He will be helping to define what that motorcycle becomes. However, the biggest advantage may actually come from the tyre side of the equation. Beginning in 2027, MotoGP will enter a new era with Pirelli. The Brno test will provide the first opportunity for riders to experience the tyres that the entire grid will use in the future. Because this test is focused on tyre development, Marquez's feedback could have a significant impact. The earlier a rider gets the chance to test a new tyre, the greater the opportunity to understand its characteristics and provide input that could influence the direction of its development. Pirelli was even asked whether the 2027 MotoGP tyres risked becoming Marquez tyres, due to the amount of development that could be shaped by feedback from the multiple-time world champion. While Pirelli emphasised that it would never develop tyres specifically for a single rider, the company acknowledged that riders involved from the beginning naturally gain an advantage because they can help align motorcycle and tyre development simultaneously. That advantage could prove extremely valuable once the new regulations come into effect. Many observers have already begun questioning the fairness of the system. Riders who remain with their current manufacturers will gain months of development experience and valuable data before riders switching teams even get their first opportunity to test their new machines. Ducati has chosen Marquez as the spearhead of its next-generation bike development program. Aprilia has retained Marco Bezzecchi to lead its testing efforts, while Yamaha has secured Toprak Razgatlioglu as a key part of its future project. These three riders will be heavily involved in a series of development tests scheduled at Brno Circuit, Red Bull Ring, and Circuit Riccardo Tormo throughout the preparation process for the new 2027 regulations. The experience they accumulate from thousands of testing kilometres could become a major advantage when MotoGP enters its new era. In contrast, riders who choose to switch teams will have to wait until the season finale in Valencia before getting their first chance to ride their new motorcycles. This delay costs them valuable time to adapt to the bike's characteristics, understand the team's technical requirements, and contribute feedback during the development process. As a result, they could enter the 2027 season with significantly less preparation than rivals who have been involved in the next-generation project from the very beginning. For Marc Marquez himself, the timing of these tests feels almost perfect. After enduring years of setbacks caused by serious injuries and multiple surgeries, his performance is gradually returning to its highest level. Over the past several races, he has secured important victories, delivered more consistent performances, and displayed the kind of speed that reminds fans of the dominant Marquez of years past. His resurgence sends a strong message that he is once again ready to compete at the highest level, while also putting many of his rivals on alert ahead of the new MotoGP era in 2027. With his physical condition continuing to improve and his confidence growing race by race, the opportunity to test the next-generation motorcycle early could provide Marquez with a major advantage as he prepares for the upcoming regulatory changes. Although winning the 2026 MotoGP title remains a significant challenge, the long-term focus is already beginning to shift toward 2027, when the entire rulebook will change and every manufacturer will effectively start from a relatively level playing field. In such circumstances, even the smallest advantage can make a huge difference. If Marquez can maximise this opportunity, it is entirely possible that he could enter MotoGP's new era as the leading favourite to win the first World Championship under the 850 cubic centimetres regulations. Now the question is, will the early advantage enjoyed by Marc Marquez and Ducati be enough to give them the upper hand when MotoGP's new era begins? Or will their rivals be able to close the gap once they finally get the chance to test their new machines? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.